All right, welcome back, grade 4. And today we're going to look at the differences between direct and indirect speech again. So within writing, there are two ways to narrate the words spoken by a character. These are called direct speech or indirect speech. Indirect speech can also be called reported speech. So let's take a look at an example. "I bid you farewell, Earthlings," shouted Iggy from his spaceship. "I bid you farewell, Earthlings." These are the exact words that he is saying, so we use quotation marks to hug the words that he said. One thing to look at here is he used the word I. When we say I, it's the words the person said. It's going to usually be a direct speech example. However, here we have, "From his spaceship, Iggy bid farewell to the Earthlings." There's no I anymore. This is just telling you what he said without using the same words. So in this case, it's indirect. So if we look at the direct example, direct speech example, the exact words that he said are inside the quotation marks. There's no change to the words. We don't move them around. This is exactly what he said. We always have an ending punctuation here. Now this could be an exclamation mark for shouting, a question mark for a question, a comma if it's not shouting or a question and the rest of the sentence continues afterwards, or a period if the rest of the sentence was at the start and this was at the end. So it depends on each sentence. The rest of the sentence we often call a reporting clause because it explains who spoke. Let's take a look at the indirect example now. "From his spaceship, Iggy bid farewell to the Earthlings." So now the actual words are changed a little bit because he said, "I bid farewell, Earthlings." So this is not exactly what he said. It's just explaining to you. So there's no more I. It doesn't say I anymore. So the actual words are often changed. Sometimes the pronoun is changed. Sometimes other words in the sentence are changed as well. We call it paraphrasing when we explain what someone said without using the exact words. So we have no quotation marks here. Whoop, went one step too far there. So this asks are quotation marks needed? Kayla explained that she used to live in New York. Well, if I'm talking about where I used to live, I'm going to use the word I. I used to live in New York. But it says that she used to live in New York. So these are not her exact words, which means this is not direct speech. This is an example of indirect speech and does not need quotation marks. Okay. "Watch out," screamed George as he launched the frisbee. In this case, it's an example of direct speech. Watch out. These are the exact words that he said, so we do need quotation marks. If I wanted to make it indirect, I might say George screamed at them to watch out. It's very similar. It's the same information, it's just we're writing it in a different way. Guthrum announced that they should charge towards the village. Okay, now the key word we're looking at here is they. That they should charge towards the village. If I'm including myself in this example, I'd say we should charge towards the village. So this, when it says they, it's indirect speech. It does not need quotation marks. The doctor said the doctor gently said, "Open your mouth as wide as possible." Open your mouth. She's talking directly to someone. This is going to be an example of direct speech, and it needs quotation marks. If we want to change this, we could say the doctor gently told the boy to open his mouth. The boy. Or the doctor gently told him to open his mouth. Instead of open your mouth. Open your mouth, I'm talking directly to someone. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to your work for today. Oh, this is one example I really like. "I want an ice cream," shouted the angry little boy. This is direct. I want an ice cream. These are the exact words he said. Or the indirect version, the angry little boy shouted that he wanted an ice cream. Okay, so we're going to skip down to your work, and if you're in class with us, you'll see these examples. Your work has 3 parts to it today. So in the first part, it looks like this, and it's asking you if the examples it shows you are direct or indirect speech. So the first one, William asked if he could have a turn on the slide. I'm not saying, can I have a turn on the slide? He's asking if he could. He's not using the word I. So this is an example of indirect speech. So remember, we want to look at the pronouns. That really helps us. And we also want to look, does it have quotation marks or not? Because that will help us too. The second part of your homework looks like this. And it's telling you to add any missing punctuation to the sentences containing direct speech. Well, all of them have direct speech. So what I want you to do is show me where the quotation marks go. Where are you going to put the quotation marks? And remember, you need to show where they start and where they end. There should be a pair of quotation marks. Here's the first one as an example. "I want sweets." That's what she said out loud. That's what she shouted. And the last part of your homework looks like this. And it says change the direct speech in the sentences to indirect speech. So right now, all 3 sentences have direct speech. Now I want to change them. So remember, like that example with the little boy. "I want ice cream," screamed the little boy. And when it changed to indirect speech, it said, the little boy screamed that he wanted ice cream. Okay, so number 1, "We must work together," declared Alexander. We, because he's a part of that group. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that word we. I'm going to use the word they. But I'm not going to keep the sentence in the same order. Alexander declared that they must work together. If I took out the word that and I put quotation marks, he could still be talking to another group. So also the word that is very important here. Alexander declared that they must work together. Now it's telling you what he said, but not the exact words because he used the word we. So when you're taking a look at the other examples, take a look. It has we here. We can change that. My mom said, there's plenty of time to get there. Remember our last lesson, we talked about how there might be changed to the word here when you're changing it to indirect speech. Okay, well, good luck and just try your best. Ask your teacher if you have any questions.